You are listening to the Present Moment Process podcast, the official podcast of the Asheville Group Psychotherapy Society, with your hosts Chris Byrne and Sarah Simpson. Okay, so why should therapists be in a process group? Well, the first thing that comes up for me is therapists are used to being in the helper role, and they're used to asking questions and listening, which is not often a terribly vulnerable place to be in. So group gives you practice at being more of the vulnerable one,
Right.
thereby making you a more well-rounded, integrated human being.
hmm Yes. I could see somebody saying, well, I practice vulnerability. I experience being the vulnerable one when I'm in my individual therapy. But I think that that is a different type of vulnerability because the being a group member, it's like you're being vulnerable in a dynamic setting with other people. It's not just like with a therapist. And you're interacting with other people and experiencing emotions towards those people. And so, yeah, it's like enhanced vulnerability,
Yeah, it's next level.
which, yeah, I like how Catherine Barnhill, who is the group I used to be in one of her groups, she says like that
Mm,
it expands your capacity to be with a range of emotional experiences and, have all sorts of different thoughts, feelings, reactions within yourself and towards other people, which then allows you to have, a greater capacity for a range of emotional experiences, which then can help to expand your creativity and attunement and presence with clients, which I think that is true
yes.
because so many different things can come up when you're with clients. I mean, there's so many different emotions, not just that they are expressing or trying to express, or yeah, we're trying to help them figure out what they're feeling, but then we're feeling things.
Hmm.
And yeah, what do we do with all these emotions?
Yeah. And it gives you exposure to different types of people that you might not otherwise encounter, given your own power to choose, because you don't get to pick who you're in a group with.
hmm
And that exposure could also really inform your work with clients.
Yeah, totally.
And, a group member might talk about something similar to a problem your client has that could help give you a new perspective on your client's issue.
And along those lines of sort of this like because it's kind of sounds like we're talking about the like how we experience being in the client role or like seeing therapeutic work done in group from a different perspective than when we are in the therapist chair. So also seeing someone else kind of work, like I don't know, I've gotten a lot out of being in group from just like witnessing the group leader work with other people.
Yeah.
Because in individual therapy, I just experience them working with me. And even that's, totally subjective because I'm the one that's experiencing it in the moment. But it's like watching them do therapy with other people.
And then also watching the group help, watching the group provide therapy. Oh, this reminds me of something Jen Morris said in the recent CGS weekend. Hold on. Everybody is a therapeutic force,
Yes.
and everyone is a patient. So,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, I've as a leader and a member have been impressed and humbled by how people are helped and supported by group members in ways that maybe don't come as naturally to me, certain ways of responding and relating and resonating and joining and all that stuff can
Oh yeah.
inform my work with individual clients and group clients, of course.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Some of the most therapeutic moments that happen in group are between group members. I think that's totally true that like everyone in the group sort of takes on that therapeutic role at times, as well as being the patient, quote unquote, and the
Mhm.
healing force of the group too.
Right. It's also a place where you receive feedback on how you impact others,
Hmm.
which we don't always get with our own therapists who might not be
Right.
trained to give that kind of feedback, or maybe it wouldn't be therapeutic in that setting. And
Hmm.
then we don't always get it from our own clients because they don't want to ruin the relationship. They're not prepared to take that risk with us. But in a group,
Hmm.
the invitation is to do that, to tell people how they impact you and to be open to receiving that feedback.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of so many different, and sometimes that's in a more direct way that people, say like, ah, I just feel really annoyed by what you just said, or I'm feeling really bored. And obviously it's important to explore like why, like what's happening for that person and why they're feeling bored. And there's something for them to learn there about that. But yeah, like you said, just the other person might not realize that there's something about the way they express themselves.
Yeah. And then we can become more aware of how we come across, often in ways we're not meaning to, and maybe adjust a little bit how we show up for clients. I've gotten feedback, for instance, that I seem very serious and maybe distant or unemotional. So sometimes I
Hmm.
have to amp it up in a way that feels excessive to me, but isn't at all to others. It's just helping me connect with them more or have a little more of an impact maybe than I normally would.
Yeah, that feels vulnerable to talk about. Does that feel vulnerable? Does
Not
that
really.
feel like vulnerable when it comes up in group?
Yeah, when it comes up in group, it can feel that way. Doesn't feel that way now, just talking about it.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. I'm just thinking of like the feedback that we get about, because yeah, when you said like, oh, then sometimes it you might want to like amp it up in a way that feels more connecting for others, but it doesn't feel as natural for you.
Hmm.
But you're probably not doing that all the time, right? I mean, you're probably still being you.
Right.
So I guess
Hmm.
it just depends on like the client or the situation
Hmm.
or the person you've gotten feedback from in group.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten feedback that I interrupt people in group. So I'm like, I hope I'm not interrupting my clients.
Yeah, and then when I got feedback from a client recently that I interrupt her. This was not a group member, this was an individual client. And having been in group, both as a member and a leader, I have gotten experience with that kind of feedback that might be
Hmm.
described as negative, but I've learned how to receive it without being destroyed by it.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing about group is every time as time has gone on, like every time somebody has something to tell me, that could be perceived as something negative, how they're being impacted by me or some reaction they're having to me, it feels less scary and it just feels like, yeah, like, all right, this is gonna hopefully deepen the relationship and lead to some understanding about
Hmm.
me and about them. And
Yeah. It also invites us to practice being more aware of what's happening for us on an emotional level, which
hmm
is incredibly valuable to have as a skill when we're sitting with individual clients. We can use our emotional experience as another way in to the client's experience. We can wonder if what we're feeling is what they're feeling, or if
Hmm.
we're feeling what they can't really feel.
Right. Yeah, I mean, because so much about being in group is being asked about what you are feeling or what someone else is feeling, or just, a lot of ask about feelings.
Hmm.
Um, and that happens again and again. So, like, yeah, the more that we're asked about our feelings or watch other people, try to access their feelings and express them, yeah, you're right. Like, that helps us to tune into our own. Yeah, just like it's like practicing your emotional muscles or your emotional capacity. Because, yeah, there's all sorts of stuff that come up, and it can happen so quickly in sessions when you're the therapist.
Hmm.
So I think, yeah, you're right. It helps us to like maybe slow down and just be able to notice what we're feeling.
Yeah, and slow down others in their own feelings. You learn how to translate people in subtle ways, and you learn how to recognize when they might be avoiding something in the way they're talking about it. Like they're not naming a feeling, they're maybe, they say, I feel like I'm bragging. You develop an ear for that kind of thing. Any sentence that's I feel like, you can be
Hmm.
like, all right, so what does that mean that you're feeling?
Hmm.
And it's just another way in to their emotional experience.
Yeah. I just had the thought of, I don't know if this is like a good point to start talking about like theory and technique, but just some of the ways in which that happens, because we're people as group members and other members, we're all being asked about our feelings and our emotional experience quite a bit. And sometimes that can feel too vulnerable to be asked directly about what your emotional experience is. So the therapist or we as the group therapist might bridge and ask somebody else what they think we're feeling or what they think we mean by
Yeah,
whatever they just said that's not a feeling. Um,
right.
so yeah, bridging is a thing that we're both big fans of.
And an individual, you could just do a simple version of that, maybe by saying, so when you say you feel like you're bragging, I imagine you're feeling embarrassment. That
Hmm.
might not be right, but you
Right.
can do
But
that for
again,
your client. Hmm.
totally. Yeah, that's such a good point. Yeah, I think then that helps us to like translate that skill or that whatever you want to call it technique into our individual work or yeah, just any work. Couples therapy work. I think group has hugely helped me as a couples therapist too.
Yeah.
Because a couple is, it's not a group, but it is a system and it's two people interacting that, I don't go home with them. I'm not part of that system.
Hmm. It's two people with lots of parts, right? So
Yep.
could see it as a group in that way.
Lots of feelings that are happening that are either not getting expressed or getting expressed in ways that aren't is not emotional expression.
Yeah.
Lots of, I feel like you're being an asshole, or
Yeah.
I
Right.
feel like you're being defensive.
Yeah.
Good one. You've not only just said something that's not a feeling, but you've also just interpreted their experience.
Yeah. I just had a thought. Okay, yeah, another reason why, especially therapists, should be in a process group is because it will show them, especially if there's other therapists in the group, that everybody's fucked up.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So huge, so huge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's a foundational thing in group in general, with, regular groups with civilians. People get that, what is it called? Universality. Or yeah, just knowing that maybe even if someone doesn't struggle with like the same kinds of things, it just everyone has struggles. Everyone has no one's got their shit together in every way.
entirely. Right.
Yeah. But especially for therapists and especially for new therapists,
Yeah.
because there's so much professional insecurity or imposter syndrome
Hmm.
for new therapists, or just the feeling of like, I have no idea what I'm fucking doing. Yeah, I mean, that was one of the hugest benefits for me of joining a process group when I first started working as a therapist, was being in a group with other therapists, some of them who had been therapists for at least 10 years,
Hmm.
and hearing how they were not only fucked up like me and also struggled with their clients or struggled with their sense of themselves as a therapist at times.
And when you have less of that pressure to not be fucked up or to try and hide that all the time, you're just freer. You free up more energy and creativity, like you were saying.
Yeah, totally. Totally. Yeah, when we're not as like self-absorbed or consumed by with like how we're supposed to be, or because that's another thing I think for just us as humans, but certainly new therapists and, therapists in general, or this is a human condition, but thinking like, oh, we should be this way, or I should be, or shouldn't be feeling this, or shouldn't, it's like, yeah, just to be freer as a therapist and be able to be more authentic
Hmm.
and be ourselves.
And you can talk about how you're fucked up and have
Right.
have people respond in a way that is, I mean, not always, but often soothing and validating and encouraging
Mm-hmm.
um, and then you're not as scared of your fucked upness. So then you're not as threatened when maybe clients are suggesting implicitly or explicitly that you suck in some way.
Right. Yeah. What is it that Jacob talks about that the idea of like accepting or acknowledging that, we at some point, we all are greedy, messy, mean, whatever, pick the negative trait that you want.
Yeah.
And if we can really be okay with like owning that, not as like that's like all that's just who we are, but as like, yeah, sometimes I'm an asshole. Sometimes I don't know what to say. Sometimes I interrupt you. What does he say about that? That's just like helps you to be free instead
Yeah.
of it being like, I shouldn't be that way. I can't be that way. It's like,
Right, right. And then you can help your clients be more free. Like you're not as maybe intimidated by their darker, more complex neuroses.
right. Or
You
they're
can
they're
join
fighting.
them more.
Yes, yeah, you can join them more. And yeah, that we're not as if what did you say, afraid of their darker, complex neuroses, and help them to not be afraid
Hmm.
of them either, or feeling like it's bad or I shouldn't be this way.
Yeah.
Because yeah, ultimately, I think a big part of like work of being a happier human or even spiritual work is to be more open-hearted and more accepting of the truth of our human experience in any given moment, regardless of what it is.
Yeah. And in a group, people often see and are told that you're really good at doing that for other people. Why can't you do that for yourself? And then
Right.
you
Yeah,
just get more awareness around that discrepancy.
totally. Well, I wonder how that, is there anything in technique that ties into?
So for technique, I was mostly thinking about bridging and joining and the focus on feelings. The other
Uh,
technique, I guess, is also staying in the here and now. And I feel like the discussion of the why that we just had, and we might come up with more, is basically covering the theory. Isn't theory all about why?
right. Yeah, like why you're doing something with the theory of change or whatever.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, I agree.
I mean, we could maybe talk a little bit about the common group agreements because I think those also point to
Ooh,
theory.
yeah, that's a good point. The
Because the
group.
process group is unique, different from other groups in various ways, but one way that comes to mind is you're not allowed to develop relationships with people outside of the group, which is not the case in, say, a support group or a DBT group or lots of other groups. That is not an agreement. And
Right.
that points to something theoretical.
Uh-huh. And like why that's important.
Hmm.
As far as technique, there's really some kind of core important ways in which groups are facilitated, and the whole point of the technique is to help people, identify and express their feelings and connect with other people in the group.
Yep.
That's primarily done by bridging, joining, being in
Focusing
the
on
here.
emotions and staying in the here and now of the group as much as possible. One technique is like when the group is getting too far out of the room, either in the past or someone else's, outside life stuff, you, as the leader, think about how what people are saying applies to the group itself, to what's happening right now. Is there a parallel process at play?
Mm-hmm.
How is this problem that Lucy is having replicated in this group?
Mm-hmm.
And then we're back with the group, although it might be in a more heady kind of way, but at least we're getting there. So
Yeah.
that I think of that as a technique
Yeah, that's totally a technique. What is that called?
that falls under the staying focused on the here and now as much as possible. I don't know.
Right, right. Yeah, or like if someone's talking about like, how they felt.
Exploring parallel processes, maybe you could call that.
Yeah, like if someone is talking about feeling abandoned by their partner or
Yeah.
something, and you're like, how much you feel abandoned by the group right now, or
Or how have I abandoned you as a leader?
Mhm. Yep,
Because there's that idea in just psychoanalysis with individual work that whatever the client is talking about applies to the therapist. So
so we can
that's
always
also in the theory category.
right. And sometimes it can feel like it's a stretch, but it almost that it's kind of less important because it gets something happening, it gets a process going between group members in the here and now.
Yeah, which I guess speaks to the theory that more work, well, the only work you can do is in the here and now.
Right. Yeah, because even if someone is talking about an argument that they had with their partner, we're going to be asking other group members how that person is impacting them as they're talking about that, or what are they feeling towards so and so. It's not about like, what do you think Bob should have said to his wife?
Yeah.
It's like, how are you feeling about what Bob is saying right now? Or,
Yeah. This reminds me of another why, too, for therapists is that, I mean, I guess I touched on it in the first one, but we're so used to being in a certain role, and group invites us to be in all kinds of different roles or to show all parts of ourselves.
yes,
And we get to say things to fellow group members that we most likely can't say to our clients. And that can just be liberating, just a freeing experience.
totally. I mean, talking about attraction in group.
Yeah,
Um, I think most therapists would not tell their client that they were having feelings of attraction towards them.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, being able to talk about attraction in group, because again, we're just putting our thoughts and feelings into words where nothing is going to happen. We're not going into action. So really having the freedom to explore that attraction and even just saying it can be liberating because there's really not a social environment where people can do that with anyone but someone that they are in an intimate relationship with,
Hmm.
usually.
Yeah.
So that can be freeing. Or just, yeah, I mean, anything that you might not say to people. And
Yeah. And you don't have to think as much, you know? Therapists have to deliberate and discern a lot how to respond to a
Mhm.
client in a given moment. Is this going to be therapeutic, you know? You don't have to do that in group. And it's actually best not to. It's a whole other ball of wax, whole other invitation. You're not
Yeah.
here to be helpful. You're not here to provide a therapeutic experience for someone. It might be therapeutic, but that's not your intention.
Right, exactly. And then if that is someone's sort of impulse that keeps coming up, then we get to explore the parts of them that feel like they need to do that for people, or that the part that, is afraid to speak up, or
Hmm.
just, what gets in the way of doing that.
Hmm. Where you just
Uh,
touched on another piece, big important part of the theory, which is not going into action. So we should definitely touch on that.
yeah.
And you learn how to interpret that in different ways. And you notice when you do it with individual clients too.
Yeah, I
We're
wonder if we should
here to
talk.
explore, not gratify by going into action.
Right. Yeah, and I wonder if we should like touching on some examples of ways that people go into action that really impact the group as a whole, like when people just decide to leave, and even though, they're giving the
Hmm.
appropriate, 3 session warning or whatever, but they
Yeah.
didn't talk to the group about the thoughts and feelings that led to them deciding that they were going to come in that day and say that they're leaving group, like so many people we've seen do in our groups.
And in groups I'm a member of.
Oh yeah, that's happening in Pamela's group.
Hmm.
How has Pamela handled that? What was the thing that she said that was like, what feelings are you not wanting to be with, or like, yeah, something about, are you leaving because there's feelings you're not wanting to tolerate, or
Yeah, that sounds right.
how many people are leaving in your group?
Two left abruptly very recently.
Man. Uh,
Lame.
yeah, that's lame. Were people mad?
Yeah, disappointed. What are you looking
Um,
at?
well, I'm looking at this thing from my log that I wrote. I was having trouble finding it on my computer, but the question that I thought of was like, what is the difference between like what looks like resistance, or is it just like poor preparation? Or like, could we have done a better job preparing somebody for group?
Mm,
In talking about the agreements, or I mean, you can always explain them or emphasize the importance of them, or like they're not going into action, and it's like people are still going to do what they're going to do.
mhm.
So yeah, I think it's always resistance, I guess.
Right, that's a big part of the theory too, is resistance.
Right, and the thing with the agreements is that they're not rules, we expect people to, not adhere to them at various times, and that's just a form of resistance. We want to study it and understand it and explore it.
Hmm. But theory for now includes ideas around the importance of immediacy. What's the other I word? Intimacy,
Uh-huh.
resistance, transference, countertransference. I'm just going to put the container, words over action.
Okay. Nice.
That seemed like most of the theory stuff.
Yeah.
And then technique. And you and I can continue to just think about these things and maybe jot down some thoughts. And
Hmm.
I can email you what I've written down today. and we can start an email back and forth as we think of more stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
Even if we
totally.
don't think of more stuff, I think this is plenty.
Right. But yeah, email that to me and then I can add anything that I think of that goes well with that. But yeah, I think it'll be fun.
Technique, bridging, joining, parallel process, focus on here and now, focus on emotions in here and now.
Mm-hmm.
Exploring is a technique.
Explore, explore, explore.
Yeah.
Like
Joining is a way of exploring. It's like
mm-hmm.
an in.
Yeah, what would be an example of that?
Well, anytime you join with somebody, it's like saying yes and
Mm-hmm.
that's just a way to go further into it. Whereas if you don't join, if you resist or argue or
Yeah, I really don't want to I really don't want to talk about that. You're like, yeah, yeah, like why would you want to talk about that? That's
with these people, like, yeah.
sounds really scary.
Yeah. Or how could these people possibly respond in a way that's helpful or
Right.
illuminating?
Yes.
So yeah, then instead of being like, oh, you can talk about it or, why not? Yeah, that's just a whole different conversation.
Yeah, I mean there is sort of that's the yeah, joining is helpful in that way. And it just depends, I think sometimes it can be helpful to be like depending on what the situation is, can be like, well, yeah, can you say something about the part of you? I guess that's still sort of like it's not really joining, but like, can you like, yeah, like totally, you don't have to talk about that, but can you first say something about the part of you that doesn't want to talk about it?
Yeah, right.
Um,
Yeah, I'm gonna
um,
put specificity here too as a technique.
what does that mean?
Just getting more precise with our language.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that also goes back to focus on emotions, asking people to get more precise about how they talk about that, which we
Yeah,
talked about in the last episode.
yeah, clarifying, what is a feeling and what's not a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sometimes helping people to identify what they're feeling in their bodies.
Right. Because that's here and now.
Hmm. Oh, and the last thing, also just, fantasies.
Mm. Oh,
The
yeah,
word fantasy gets used a lot,
totally.
or, what do you imagine might, and that's, could be for a lot of reasons, but fantasies around like what do you fantasize so and so is thinking, or
Mm-hmm. Also, turning questions into statements is a technique.
like what's an example of that?
Well, when we often the fantasy thing comes up when someone asks someone else a question and the leader says, "What's your fantasy?" Of
Oh
what,
yeah.
whatever they're asking.
Right.
So that's the way I'm inviting them to make a statement and be the vulnerable one instead of asking questions and putting the other person in the vulnerable seat.
Totally, totally. Oh, yeah, that's interesting. For some reason I was not that I hadn't thought about it like that, but I guess I wasn't thinking, yeah, because that's like instead of me being like, well, why did you say that to him, Sarah? Me being like, I imagine that you said that because you were
Hmm.
angry. Yeah, it's like still trying to get the same information, or yeah, you're getting the information, but also bringing yourself into it,
Yeah.
into the interaction.
Hmm.
Cool. Yeah, hopefully this is good enough for a podcast.
Oh, I think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Thank you for listening to the Present Moment Process Podcast, the official podcast of the Asheville Group Psychotherapy Society. For more information, you can visit our website at ashevillegroups.org or email us at presentmomentprocess@gmail.com.